Hi guys, it's Chris from daxtrader.co.uk and I'm going to do a video for another kind of trading strategy or system which utilises the RSI indicator and alert. Okay, so, excuse me. So if you go on the website daxtrader.co.uk, you'll got an article here under trading systems, and if you click on RSI indicator with alert, it will bring up the article that I wrote. It kind of gives a bit of background behind it. It shows a couple of screenshots for how it's going to look and how you can install it and download it. To kind of summarize the article, you're going to need a copy of MetaTrader, which is the platform that the software's been used for. You can get it for free. If you're not familiar with it, it's pretty easy to use, and you can trade straight off the charts. And at the bottom, you've got some instructions for how to install the actual indicator. So if you could decide to go ahead and buy a copy for yourself, you'll get a zip file with a few files inside that, and you'll need to click and drag those files into the relevant MetaTrader folder, which I can provide some videos for if you're not sure how to do that. But there are links for and explanations for how to do that a bit lower on the article. Okay, so without further ado, let's just sort of skip forward. So presuming that you've got the indicator yourself, you've got a MetaTrader account, and you're pretty much ready to go, it's going to look something like this. So once you've got MetaTrader open, yours might look a bit like this. I've just added a couple of extra screens here. You've got your markets over here, excuse me, and you've got a navigator down here where you'll find all your indicators. So once you've installed your indicator, you'll have this list, and you'll just simply click and drag them onto the chart, and it will load it up. You may need to refresh the indicator just by changing the time frames, but that's easy to do once you're in. And it will look something like this. This is just a basic 1 minute chart on the German DAX. I don't often trade off the 1 minute chart, but it's just to give you an example. And I've put the actual template on it. So just for the moment, let's just do you know what? Let's just create a brand new one. So clicking and drag a brand new chart, and excuse me. And once you've got your indicator installed, I'm going to load up the this neutral template, let's say, which will be one of the three that you'll have. And you'll notice at the bottom that actually nothing has appeared, and that's because it just needs to be refreshed. So by changing the time frame, it will refresh it. Now your template won't have these arrows, because this arrow is just a completely different indicator that I use. But it will have these, depending on what setup you've got and what chart you put it on, and whether it's crossed these lines. Okay, so how do I use the indicator? Well, the indicator works based on the relative strength index, which I'm sure you guys know how to use. And a default setup, if you like, for a relative strength index, or RSI, will be 70 and 30 over a period of 14. And there are lots of videos to explain how it all works and how it's calculated, but the reason I'm using this particular indicator is that I like to get conditions where a market is either overbought or oversold, so you can either do the reverse and buy or sell when it's at those levels. Problem with RSI though is that you often need to move quite quickly, otherwise you're going to miss the opportunity. So, you know, with a lot of people working, they're going to miss the trade. It's going to be too late, and by the time you look at your charts, you've realised there was an opportunity that you could have got in, but you weren't alerted, or you missed the opportunity because you weren't at your computer. So most standard packages, whoever you use, IG, FXCM, whoever, often won't have an alert facility if a particular condition is met, because they don't really want you taking advantage of an opportunity to make some money. So I've had this indicator built for me, and it works very, very basically. As soon as RSI crosses above whatever level you set, and then crosses back below again, you'll be alerted. You'll either be sent a text message or an email, or whatever you want to do. And the opposite is true as well. As soon as it crosses below the bottom level, whatever you've set that to be, and then crosses above again, you'll be alerted at that point. Okay, so it's very important just to explain that it only alerts you on the close when it comes back through the line again. Okay, so once it goes above, you're not going to be alerted at that point. It's once it comes back down again that you'll be alerted, and same for the opposite side. Once it goes down, you won't be alerted, but when it comes back through, you will be, and that's, in my opinion, where I want to be alerted, because that's when it looks like the market might be coming back again. So I've only got 2 examples on this 1 minute chart, 3 if you take this one, but I think that's because the data has only started there. I tend to ignore these and look at the ones in the middle. So I've got 2 signals where it's crossed these 2 lines, and the lines that I've drawn are 78 and 22. And you can do whatever you want. You don't have to go with that. You can do 70-30 or 80-20 or, you know, whatever you want. But I've chosen 78-22 because I don't want millions of signals. I just want some good ones. So the first one that I've got, which is pretty much at the beginning of the day here, so it probably would have been 7 o'clock when the market opens. It says 6, but that's because I think we're an hour different. So if we just zoom in and go and find that, there we go. Well, let me just take that bit off. There we go. So the market opened, gapped up higher, and as you can imagine, RSI kind of went through the roof. Don't know exactly how high it went. 80 it says here, just by hovering over it, and that's quite annoying that it keeps wanting to push me towards the most recent bar every minute it updates. So it might do that a few times through the video. Just ignore that. So it gapped up higher. It went through 80 on the RSI. So the if you like, the signal was armed, but it only gets the confirmation once the second candle closes below an 80 or 78 RSI, should I say. That's when you get the signal. And the signal itself, well, I'll just show you. Well, it looks like it would be something like that. You'd get the signal come in, it would tell you the chart name, the time frame you're using, whether it's a buy or a sell signal, and what level you were alerted at. You might not get in at that point, unless of course you build some sort of EA around this system, which, if there are any developers out there watching this video, get in touch with me, because I'd love to build this. This would be great. Skype address is chris@daxtrader.co.uk. Send me a message on there, that'd be good. Okay, so that's the kind of message you'll get, and you can have that alert to you by email. And you know, if you set up some sort of text message facility on your email account, as soon as you get that email, you'll be alerted on your phone directly. So you can do it that way. So had we have taken that trade, we would have got in around about here, because it would have been on the second candle. So it gets armed on the first candle, where you get the signal here. The second candle closing, which would have been there, that's when we would have got in at the minimum. We might not have been able to get in until halfway through this candle, but still, you can see there's a quick scalp opportunity there that we could have got in. Market then rallied again, and it went through RSI once more, almost went through here, but not quite. So if the settings were slightly lower, 75 for example, you'd have been given a signal there, and it would have been a false signal. So another example why I like to use 78 and not 75 or 70. So this one came in, and again it was armed here, and it would have been confirmed there. So maybe let's say we didn't get in for another couple of candles because, you know, it took a minute to get the message or activate the trade. You still, let's say we even got in there, you know, we still managed to make ourselves a quick sort of 50 pips or 50 points on the market. Now, trading off a 1 minute chart, I'm not really interested in getting hundreds and hundreds of pips. 10, 20, 30 with a really tight stop loss, it would work. So that's really the only 2 that I've got on this particular chart, but you can change the time frame. So for example, let's have a look at 5 minute time frame, see if anything came in there. There was a signal that came in here, but I don't tend to trust the ones right at the beginning. A couple of buy signals, I suppose, here. One of them was false, 2 of them perhaps false. Third one might have been quite good. Overall, both of them could have actually ended up doing okay, but I don't tend to trade off the 5 minute chart that often. 15-minute chart, again, a couple of buy signals here. These signals don't repaint because RSI is what it is. You can go and pull up your own chart with a 14 period RSI. I'll just check that it's 14 actually. Yeah, 14 period RSI on a 78.22 setup, and your RSI will look like this. And you'll notice where it came through and came back up at these particular points. They don't repaint, so you can go away and come back, you know, a few days later, and those signals are still going to be there because it is what it is. It happened when it happened. And okay, two opportunities. So 30-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, these kinds of charts, in my opinion, are where this particular type of strategy would come into its own, because you can do a longer term trade. You can sit on a bit of drawdown. We're not talking about scalping for 5, 10, 20 pips. We're talking about 100, 200 points. And that's where it's quite useful. So in this particular instance, you've got a sell signal up here and a buy signal down there. You can probably scroll back. There's a buy signal there. And you know, this happened when it happened. It broke through RSI. You would have got in at, you know, maybe this point here, and you could have taken out that many points with that much drawdown. So if we'd have got in, let's say, I don't know, there, we were a little bit late to it, we'd have been in drawdown to 125 points maybe, and ended up getting as much as 250, 300 points, depending on when you got out. I'd have probably got out about there, rather than hold on for that. But anyway, you can do whatever strategy you like. The sell signal, had we've got in here, I don't know, let's say we got in there, been drawdown for 20 odd points or so maybe, as it came down and came back up again. But overall could have taken 200-300 points again. So nothing is foolproof, nothing is guaranteed in the world of trading, as I'm sure you all know. But I just like this particular type of systems, or strategy, should I say, because it provides some fairly high probability trades, and it alerts you when the opportunities are there, so you can get into trades from your tablet or your phone, or however you do your trading. You don't have to be locked to your computer. We're not all in a position where we're self-employed traders. Okay, so that's kind of pretty much how it works. I've got 3 different templates that I use. Now this is a sort of a neutral template, 78-22. It's kind of even. It will produce buy and sell signals, and that's great in a sort of a ranging market, or a market that's moving sideways. But if you're in a bullish trend, or if you're in a bearish trend, I don't really want to put on both types of trade. I want to follow the trend, and I'm fully accept the fact that I'm a sheep. And I'm not really bothered about that, because ultimately, if you follow the underlying trend, you're more often than not going to make more money than going against it. I'm not really a contrarian type trader. So take a particular example. Let's look at the German DAX. We all know that the underlying trend, long-term underlying trend, is bullish, but certainly short-term, I mean, we're, 13th of May now, we've had a bit of a sell-off, quite a big sell-off, correction of sorts. So you could say that we're certainly bearish. But if we look at a daily chart, maybe a bad example, or a 4-hour chart is probably a better example, and say to ourselves, right, well, we want to look for opportunities to buy the market. What I would do is I would actually buy at a lower level. I'll rephrase what I mean. I'll look to change these levels down here, 78 and 22. I'm not really interested in selling in a bullish market, so I would look at raising the 78 up to like 90, because I'm not really interested in selling at any point other than if we were ridiculously overbought. But on the other hand, I'm interested in buying it more elevated, if you like, more lenient levels. So rather than it be 22, I'd rather buy it like 35. Okay, so my bullish template is exactly that. Just refresh it. Change the time frame back from 1 hour to 4 hour again, and it's provided 4 different signals in the last few days or so, or week maybe, since going back to mid-April, in fact month. You've got 4 big signals here, and you know, you could have been sat on some drawdown, and that certainly is the risk of following this kind of strategy. But this is more of a swing trade signal, and it's telling us that opportunity to buy a dip right there. We could have taken a trade and taken 400 odd pips, points, whatever you want to call them, and then you'd now be in drawdown if you'd have held on to this. But then you got 3 more signals all down here, and this kind of level did definitely look like the end of the correction when you consider a 10% cut from our highs of 12,400. So take off sort of 1,240 points off of that, not a million miles away from being down here. So it's pretty high probability trade setup there that we're going to bounce from here. So had we have got in down here, we'd be looking to take upwards of 1,000 points if we get back up to the 12,000 levels again. So that would be a bearish one. You'll see there's no real sell signals at all that really ever come up on this, or very rarely. And again, I ignore right at the beginning of the data because I just ignore it. But only 4 signals through the whole chart. So it's not going to provide you millions and millions of signals, this particular setup, but the ones it does provide could potentially be very good. So let's have a look at the opposite side of things then. Let's have a look at a bearish market. Do you know what? I'm just going to get rid of that. Get rid of that. Euro USD. Okay, let's have a look on a 4-hour chart. You know what I'm just going to do for the moment is ignore this because this is actually for my signals for my website. I'm just going to create a new chart. Put the bearish template on this one and go to a 4-hour chart. So there's no point really looking in too many of these backwards because you would have missed them. If you only just put the indicator on now, they're gone. But one thing I have spotted is that I've got this chart on 65 and 10. Okay, so I'm not really interested in buying in a bearish market unless it's ridiculously oversold. Okay, and perfect example right here. Okay, we came below 10 on the 4-hour chart on the RSI, so it provides a good high probability setup. So if you'd have got into that trade, you could have taken out quite a few points or quite a few pips. If you'd have held on to it even more, over 500. So I'd only really be interested in buying when it's like that. But more often I'm only interested in the sell signals. So you've had a couple of recent ones that have come in. We've obviously had this kind of relief rally as we sold down to 105. I'm sure we're probably likely to get to parity at some point over the next sort of 6 to 12 months. We could reach 115. But at the moment it looks like a fairly decent opportunity to get in and sell from here. But yeah, I'm no financial advisor. I don't want to tell you to go and do that. It's entirely at your own risk if you decide to trade that. But you've had a couple of signals. One here looked pretty good. If you'd have just got in at that point and maybe a little bit late for whatever reason, still would have been taken over 160 odd pips. Could have taken a little bit here, but you'd have probably held it and still be in drawdown. But overall, if you look at it on the bigger picture trend, it is likely that this is going to continue to come down. So I only want to get sell signals. I've got my line at 65 instead of 70. And I don't want buy signals, so I'm changing my 30 line down to 10. So it'll only alert me for really ridiculously oversold opportunities. And you'll notice that that was the point where we had the reversal. Had this huge downtrend since, July? Whenever it would have been, before then. And April last year. So almost 12 months, solid bear market. And then you get your buy signal right at the bottom. So it's quite an interesting indicator, as I hope you guys will agree. And it's just taking nothing new. It's not inventing anything, really. It's just using an RSI, which is a standard indicator across any packages. And it's just putting an alert when a specific condition is met. Then you can choose that condition. Next steps for me really is to build that into a system that can trade automatically, which is massively dangerous. But I'd like someone to get in contact with me to actually discuss whether that's possible. So there you have it. I hope that explains it. I hope that helps. But if you do decide that you want that indicator for yourself and you want to go ahead and purchase it, go to the website under Trading Systems, RSI Indicator and Alert, and there's a purchase link there. It's £10. So I hope you guys don't feel that that's too much for what it is, and hopefully it will reward you in kind with plenty of decent trading opportunities. So best of luck trading, and thanks for following the site.